The counterintuitive thing about the authority gap is that leaders with this pattern often get the best feedback on connection and likability. Their teams love working for them. Their peers trust them. Their one-on-one relationships are strong. And that strong interpersonal data is exactly what masks the gap, because nobody is checking whether they are being followed, not just liked. The warmth is real. The authority is what is missing. This is the pattern that surprises leaders most because their feedback seems genuinely positive on the surface. They look at their scores and think everything is fine. Strong marks on connection, strong marks on trust, strong marks on team management. People enjoy working with you. And buried underneath those strong scores, low marks on strategic influence, decision-making visibility, and cross-functional impact. The areas where the organization needs to see a leader shaping outcomes, not just a colleague maintaining relationships. The leader inspires trust, but does not project authority. They are doing the people part well and the positional part poorly, because the people part is the register they built their career in. It is what they know. It is what feels natural. And it is not enough for the role they are in now. Profile XT data confirms the pattern: high relational orientation, strong communication skills, low dominance. Translate that to observable behavior. The leader who connects well one-on-one, but does not project confidence in senior leadership forums, who is effective in small rooms, but invisible in large ones. The coaching plan that emerges from this finding targets organizational positioning, not communication skills. That is a fundamentally different intervention than what most leaders expect when they hear work on your presence. It is not about speaking differently. It is about occupying differently. The distinction between being liked and being followed is one that 360 data alone can obscure. If you aggregate your 360 scores into one number, the authority gap can disappear behind strong interpersonal numbers. An overall score of 3.8 might look acceptable. But when you disaggregate by dimension, you see 4.5 on trust and 2.9 on influence. That is not an average problem. It is a gap problem. Strong connection scores plus low strategic influence scores means the leader is building relationships but not directing outcomes. And the gap requires a different kind of work than improving communication. Here is something you can start right now, before Module 3. A self-diagnostic you can run this week. In your next 5 meetings, track 3 data points. First, how many times you spoke. Second, whether you asked or told. Third, whether you facilitated or directed. Do not change your behavior. Just observe it and write it down. Leaders underestimate their airtime by 30 to 50%. The actual data, counted objectively, will tell you more about your authority gap than any amount of self-reflection could. Remember the timeline distinction from Module 1. It applies here and it applies differently. Authority gap behavioral adjustments appear within 4 to 8 weeks. You start speaking differently in meetings. You start choosing when to contribute instead of contributing on everything. Perception change takes 6 to 9 months, longer than the expression gap. Why? Because the authority gap involves the audience updating a deeply held narrative about the leader. Not just she is more visible now, but she operates fundamentally differently now. Measuring only perception in the first quarter produces false negatives. The behavioral change is real. The audience has not caught up yet. The meeting contribution audit is not a formal assessment instrument. It is a self-diagnostic you own and you can run without anyone's permission. 5 meetings, 3 data points each time, no behavior change required yet. After 5 meetings, look at the pattern. Are you speaking on most topics or choosing strategically? Are you asking questions or stating positions? Are you facilitating the conversation or directing it? That data will give you a clearer picture of where your authority gap sits than any single coaching conversation could in the same amount of time. And you will have it before Module 3. The expression gap is about visibility. The authority gap is about register. The third gap is different from both, and it is the one that most executive presence models miss entirely. It is about the system, not just the individual. And that changes the question from how do I fix my presence to is this feedback even about me?